that this improvement will actually make it more dangerous in the sense that people coming here are trying to come up, and if it starts blinking, and then they're stuck in the middle and they don't know what to do. And I mean, I would really love to see a traffic light here, which sounds like a theme because you want one on Oak Ridge and you want one here, but these sort of improvements, like for example, a lot of people come from Bridge and make U-turn on Tunnel here, and if this curve is shortened, I mean, the cars can barely make it around as it is, and what if they can't make that turn? Right now they get stuck here. People coming up from the uplands, you know, are blocked by people who are trying to make a U-turn, and then the traffic is blocked here, and so if the curve here that you've designed to slow traffic down going this way actually obscures even further the current mess, then I'm afraid you might end up with sort of a worse sort of situation than you have now. There's one, I just had a question. You had said that perhaps the Hawk system wouldn't be approved because of previous policies associated with being proximity to stop signs, but I was wondering if this curbing might proceed decoupled from the Hawking, because I'm really concerned about making this curve, like making it a smaller intersection because of the dynamics that occur now.
Okay, can you?
Yeah. So we would design this so that U-turn can still happen safely.
Even with an SUV, for example?
Yes. I mean, we would design, well, if there's somebody blocking here, I can't change that because I'm not driving their vehicle.
No, but there are often a car trying to turn left,
right,
a car trying to turn right, and a car making a U-turn.
During the final design process, we will be reevaluating all of the geometry in terms of lanes and all this stuff to make sure it works for those users that are allowed. One of the objectives is to not prohibit that U-turn because of the access issues to Bridge, but another objective is not to make it easier or easier and better for people to use the uplands as cut through. In terms of the curb ramp improvements, we would not be putting curb ramps in if there's no safe crosswalk or some sort of crossing improvements.
Okay.
So we would maintain these crossings, but we would not be adding curb ramps there.
Well,
and none of this striping or geometry is the final. This is just a concept. So we would be reevaluating every piece going forward.
Which is a light would also help, because I know people drive through the El Camino to Domingo to cut around so they don't have to make this left because it's too scary. So if you could help people make the left in a safe way.
Why did you reject the signal?
I will make a quick statement just to tie it. So at this location, at Oak Ridge, and at Hillegas, neither of those three locations do not meet Caltrans signal warrants for a traditional traffic signal. A Hawk system is not a traffic signal, it's a pedestrian activated beacon. So the conversation we have with Caltrans about Oak Ridge, whether they would consider that a signal there, we will also be having the same conversation here should they oppose this pedestrian beacon here. But these are conversations we haven't had yet, and we...
Why did you not recommend a light there?
By putting a traffic signal here, the secondary impacts of cut-through traffic is something we would want to study in more detail if we did come to that, whereas the objective of this is more of the pedestrian crossing improvements, and that's what a Hawk beacon is primarily for.
Look at our ways, for example, Measure M just passed, and where could you get more bang for your buck than on College or Ashby or Tunnel, especially, to put some pervious paving maybe where the separators are, to slow or to give the sense that it's not a freeway. If we build it so that it looks like a freeway, people will drive like it's a freeway. And so my concern is, once the engineering piece is done, is to think about the urban design quality. And that's where Octavia Boulevard, I think, is such a great example.
But I understand the heart palpitations of everybody who lives up on this side, because there really is no other way to get back to the freeway than to come down Bridge and make the U-turn, which for those of you who do this every day, this is the craziest cluster you've ever seen in your life of U-turns with people trying to turn left, trying to turn right. It's incredibly dangerous. My house is actually right here. And what is not shown on this bulb out is that there's a driveway right here. And there are 7 homes that live up this driveway, and this is a blind driveway. So when people make this right-hand turn at 35 miles an hour and you're coming out this driveway, you don't see those cars until they're right on top of you. And when you're coming home to turn into this driveway, because I live up this driveway, in the dark, especially in winter hours, you cross yourself and say a little prayer that when you're making this turn to turn slowly into your driveway, someone doesn't just come right up on your back. So this bulb out is incredibly important, especially for if by chance, and we really hope that this happens because this is incredibly dangerous to try and cross here. There's no other way to get across to the north side at all. The fact that this bulbs out will make this cross shorter, and not only will the light help, but the shorter distance will really help. There's one other thing that I would like for Reed to take a look at, and Councilmember Wozniak, who's here, has asked me to send him an email as a reminder here. We might have a horn honking ordinance, which I would like to see some kind of a don't honk your horn or you get fined in this particular corner. Seriously. It gets so bad, especially in high peak traffic hours. It's continual. And no. You don't understand. If they're going to make this a share the bike road, this is one lane. If this is the absolute first opportunity for anybody getting off the freeway to turn left and cut through Berkeley to make a short trip. If you are encouraging more traffic to go down here when you have bicycles coming up and you have one lane and this is a curvy road and you can't even see bicycles when you're up against, you are asking, right now, every day, you're asking for death. And if you put a traffic signal here, which is going to encourage more left-hand turn and more traffic cut through, it's going to go up exponentially.
To me, that's not a good idea, slash unacceptable, whatever. And so I'd like to ask, what is the bicycling experience going to be like on the blue sections for a beginner cyclist, an intermediate cyclist? I think an advanced cyclist is probably fine. Or a cyclist that decided nobly to go shopping by bike and is carrying, say, groceries home. What's the experience going to be like on the blue area? And in response to that, think about the city's climate action plan, which has been adopted with overwhelming support from the city. And we just learned, Gordon, you were at the council meeting last night, I'm assuming, how many trips the city needs to reduce in order to reach its climate action goals. And blue areas like this with sharrows, is that going to get us there? Are we going to reduce tens of thousands of car trips every day in the city of Berkeley with blue bikeways like this, sharrows on streets designated as bike travel? I think that's the analysis we'd like to see. If that gets us to our climate action goal, great. Jeff, you guys are the smartest team ever. I doubt that's going to happen because all we're going to see is the experienced cyclists using the street. And that's 1% to 2% of the